Ideally, I think that we all agree that it would be best right now if Iran didn't have nuclear weapons. That's why many people were so thrilled when, after years of diplomacy, the Iran nuclear accords were signed. Well, we're way past that now, but Donald Trump is sticking to the mission, saying Iran will never have a nuclear weapon in all caps, which that's how you want someone to talk about nukes. In all caps on social media, that's what you want. Remember, Donald Trump, if he wanted to nuke a country right now, he could. If he had a bad day, he could nuke someone if he wanted to. But here's the thing, he says that they're never gonna have one, but he has at multiple points and even recently increased the chance that they will develop nuclear weapons. They took one step closer over the weekend to that, with the Iranian government announcing it would no longer adhere to limits imposed by the 2015 nuclear deal in the wake of national outrage over the US's assassination of Qassem Soleimani. So they're not 100% pulling out of the Iran nuclear accords.
Like we did.
Like we did when we, and again, like just to be very clear in language, we didn't pull out of it. There was no pulling out of it. We just violated the terms of it. So they're not 100% doing that, but they're not going to adhere to certain limitations that were placed on it. Those limitations were placed specifically to make it impossible for Iran to develop nuclear weapons. So there was a statement put out by the government that said, the Islamic Republic of Iran will end its final limitations in the nuclear deal, meaning the limitation in the number of centrifuges. Therefore, Iran's nuclear program will have no limitations in production, including enrichment capacity and percentage and number of enriched uranium and research and expansion. And so if what you wanted was Iran to not develop the fuel necessary to produce nuclear weapons, you got what you wanted in the Iran nuclear accords. And during that time, pre-Trump, our government and international observers confirmed that they were abiding by the terms of that deal. That was not acceptable to neocons that want conflict with Iran, and it wasn't acceptable to Donald Trump for one of whatever nonsensical reasons. So he shredded it, perhaps because it was Obama's deal, perhaps because he wants war with Iran.
Exactly why. It wasn't even like he was saying, oh, this is, which would also be stupid if he was saying this is better than nothing, but it's not the best.
No, he just got rid of it.
But no, he was just like, impossible is not good enough for me simply because I hate anything that has to do with a positive Obama legacy.
Yeah, exactly. And so now, for all we know, I mean, look, this does not guarantee that in 6 months or in a year they'll have a nuclear weapon. We will have to see, but they have now said that they will not be limited in terms of setting up centrifuges, enriching uranium, and that sort of research and development. And so in 2 years or in 5 years, if they all of a sudden have nukes, like that process started today effectively, and we got it thanks to Donald Trump. Now, I know that there are some people, political scientists, that believe that more states having nuclear weapons actually makes countries more stable. Look up the work of Kenneth Woods if you'd like a little bit more on that. Perhaps they're even right, but
it sounds really scary though, right?
I don't know. I mean, look, there's some reason to believe it, but in any event, they are moving in that direction. And what's so weird is that Trump supporters really do believe, like on Fox News all throughout the weekend, they were saying the risk of them getting a nuclear weapon was great under Obama, but it has now been cut down. I can't get my mind to follow the bizarre twists and turns of that. And to give you an example, really fast, so Mike Pompeo over the weekend, he had this to say. Frankly, this war kicked off, and then he realized he'd referred to it as a war and said, people talk about the war. This war kicked off when the JCPOA, that is the Iran nuclear accords, was entered into. We're trying to correct for what was the Obama administration's appeasement of Iran. Now, try to work through the bizarre Cthulian logic there. Everyone said they were abiding by the terms of the deal, including our military. Now they have said we're gonna ramp up our enrichment of uranium. And their takeaway is this conflict was caused by the diplomacy of Obama that was working out, and now we've corrected for it as they begin the process of building nuclear weapons. Like, I know that no Trump supporter is just gonna listen to me and then think about it. They're gonna get something from Jesse Waters or whatever, Sean Hannity, and they're gonna somehow square the circle there, but it is insane. It is the font of insanity.
Trump supporters believe that Trump can control other countries just because he said so. This is kind of like in the same box for me as when President Trump started saying Mexico was going to pay for the wall. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's never going to happen. It's not a possibility, and his supporters believe it. Still.
Yeah, yeah, or maybe even like now they still believe that he was right to say that.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to believe the promise, but they're not mad at all about the fact that, of course, Mexico was not paid for it.
Right.
Yeah, it's nonsense. I mean, look, of all the things that are happening right now between the US and Iran in terms of things that are increasing the threat that people will die, this is a little bit more down the road. I know that we're a little bit more worried about the immediate threat of war, but he is setting up a dangerous situation and also making it materially more difficult that even if Trump is voted out later on this year, for a Democrat eventually to come in and to try to resume those nuclear accords. That has been made far more difficult, even today versus last week. It was still going to be difficult, but it is made more difficult today by the actions of Donald Trump, and that's sort of by design. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.